to the Espresso Talk Today podcast show, where we confront the chaos of living Black in predominantly white spaces. And, and we discuss ways to contain, curb, and calm that chaos. You might think the chaos of living Black in white spaces? That's right. And yes, there are ways to contain, curb, and calm that chaos, and we're going to talk about that today. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Amma Robin. I'm a Black empowerment educator and host of this great and groundbreaking show. One thing that I've learned over the years is studying, learning, struggling, and living Black empowerment is that there's no Black empowerment without Black health, Black mental health, physical health, emotional health, and spiritual health. So yes, it is important to identify and confront that chaos. But it is also important to calm, control, and contain that chaos to protect your health and well-being. And that's why I'm so happy to have a very special guest return to my humble show today. Her name is Roxanne Warden. She's a board-certified life and mindfulness coach. And this is actually the second part of a two-part series about the power of mindfulness. In the first part, Roxanne introduced mindfulness and how to seamlessly incorporate mindfulness practice into your life. And she went even deeper, she did, to show you how to address difficult feelings like shame, disappointment, and judgment using mindfulness. You recognize any of those feelings? Okay, I got you. In part two today, Roxanne discusses how mindfulness practice can help you to tap into your inner wisdom. We all have wisdom within us, but we often don't hear it and we can't access it because of all of the chaos swirling around us and distracting us and keeping us living in survival mode rather than living in growth, joy, love, or peace mode. If you're ready to tap into your inner wisdom, then you're in the right place at the right time. So sit back, grab an espresso, and close the door behind you. We're going to get deep and we're going to get very real. And I hope that y'all are ready for this. But there was another unhealthy, actually, I think several, but yeah, can you go on with some other unhealthy thought patterns? Because I mean, I could talk about this for a long time, really, but we want to introduce people to these, so yeah.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So another one would be, let's say, I would say that I'm
Oh,
happy when.
oh,
So I'll be happy when I get the car. I'll be happy when I reach this level of whatever. And that's that, like we're constantly, qualifying ourselves for, for enoughness. We're trying to figure out at what point will I be enough as a person. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like you gather all these things, you check off the boxes, and it's like, still, I don't feel like I'm enough. I don't feel like I'm okay. And so, mindfulness can break that pattern. And let me start. Before I go there, let me say, for Black people, what's tough about this is a lot of times our bar of enoughness is set by white culture, you
oh,
know. So for us, it's like when will you ever be white enough? Never. You'll never be.
right, right.
When, you know, I remember having an issue myself with I used to hate because I worked in in offices where I was like one of two Black people, right,
Mm-hmm.
in the entire office. And I remember thinking, you know, what's so funny is that their slang is acceptable in this environment, in this professional environment, and mine is not,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know? And so it goes back to all that code switching and all of that. But like you think in your mind, I'm being more professional, but actually I'm like, why can we use slang in this professional setting? We still can use slang, but it has to be your slang.
Yeah. Hmm. That's acceptable in quotation slang. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So little things like that, those little things like weigh on us every day. And there's always, you know, there's sometimes a subconscious need to be enough, to be accepted, to be, you know, to be like, yeah, to be happy when we achieve these different things. And that's stressful. It's stressful to never feel like you can ever rest in who you are.
Right. Right. And interesting. I think last year I read Misty Copeland's book, The Prima Ballerina, and she was talking about how, she got to a certain point. I mean, she did really well up to a certain point. Then all of a sudden, well, her hips are too big. Ballerinas don't have hips like that. Ballerinas don't have that much muscle, and they said, so there's only so far you'll ever go with this. And even though she was on point and all of that, but they said that, yeah, and that's, I guess, putting a wide standard on this woman, even though she was a fantastic athlete and a fantastic dancer. And
Mhm.
anyway, so she ended up just saying, you know what, she's not going to keep trying to lose more and more and more weight because she's not going to change her hip size anyway, and but she doesn't
We're
want to
not doing that.
muscle. Right, we're gonna have the hips. Yeah, and she doesn't want to lose muscle because that's what's making her a good dancer. You know,
Yeah.
um, so somehow somebody at some point gave her a chance, and she took it off from there. But that's always been there with her. That they always talk about how she's kind of changed the shape of ballet, and some people say, some people say for the better, others say, no, for the worse. But
Yeah.
yeah, but she
That's
was like, I'll be a really better dancer when, I'm really super skinny, even though it's just like
yeah.
do that.
And it's such torture. And again, we've made all this stuff up.
Yeah.
And like for Black people, unfortunately, we didn't make like we're living in it, the system of it, but it's like it's all made up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I wrote that down because it's just like, I mean, that's kind of lightened it up. But all this stuff was made up, you know. So yeah, instead of thinking of it as some kind of a universal truth, that's
yeah,
just, you know. So, but yeah,
basically.
but this I'll be happy when. I mean, that's just always living in the future. And I mean, I really
Always.
actually done that a lot with, I'll be happy when I'm fitting into those jeans or yeah, at a certain weight or something like that. And,
Yeah.
and
And
it
not, I
actually,
don't know.
yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry.
oh, and it actually, when I get to, if I were to get to that, it still wasn't enough, you know. So,
It is. It's like now you need another target, right? Like now, oh, I've achieved that. Now what? I need something else, you
yeah.
know? And
Hmm.
I don't know if you've done a thing where I've kept an old outfit. This is even worse. I've kept an old outfit and I'm like, oh, when I'm able to fit back into that, I'll be good. You
Yeah.
know, if I could just get back down to that size for that outfit I really like. And it's like, just get a new dress.
I know. Yes, I've done that.
I've kept things for years doing that. And yeah, you're right, it's perpetual, just, you know, either some of us trying to get back to a version of us that we really liked, or some of us like, you know, thinking in the future all the time. And, you know, with mindfulness, you're able to sit with yourself and again, remember, I'm a living, breathing human being right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you sit with yourself in those moments, you also can reassure yourself, what are good things that I'm doing now?
Uh,
What was I really happy with today that I did? And it doesn't have to be huge. It can be like, you know what? I made it on time to that appointment. I'm normally late. And I made it on time today. And I'm really proud of myself. Because we don't take enough time to appreciate the things we're doing well, because a lot of times we're protecting ourselves. We're always keeping a running tab of what we can do better
Oh,
and what we need to correct. Even in self-development, it can be very much just perpetual, like fixing yourself. Like I'm always fixing myself. I'm getting better because I'm developing. I'm doing personal development. So it's all really good. But there's always this idea that you need to keep fixing yourself. And it's like, no, at some point, you can still grow, but it's not always that you're fixing yourself, you
oh,
know?
I see. That's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fixing yourself like, yeah, yeah, you're broken. You're not right. Something, you're incomplete in some way. You're not enough. So,
Yeah.
so,
Let me, I see I see an imperfection here. Let me fix that. I mean, if you can imagine just constantly retouching a picture of yourself, just, I see,
oh, mhm.
oh, I don't like that curve. Let me, that's
Yeah. Mhm.
sometimes even in the professional development space. And sometimes it can just be like, you know what, let me learn something new about how I work.
Oh, oh, I love that too. Okay, I'm gonna have to write that one down as well. Okay. Because actually that brought up, there was one you mentioned very briefly in an earlier talk, and this one I think was a difficult one for me. Shame. And
Yes.
like, wow, the thought of carrying shame, this, I mean, to me, it feels, I don't know. Well, what do you think about shame?
Oh,
How is,
now I'm curious. Tell me what was difficult about shame. I'm curious.
um, I find it embarrassing. And I know that I've talked to myself a lot in some ways of, feeling like if I got a bad grade on something, to really feel a lot of shame, even if I worked really hard, that I carry around a lot of shame with that. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, and to admit that, I think I took a lot of defensive ways. I would, you try to hide, the maybe the bad grade, or my feelings about it, or, well, oh, I didn't really study for that anyway. You know, um,
Mm.
I do all kinds of things, and I was just feeling such deep shame, and admitting shame actually, yeah, feels embarrassing, and I feel kind of vulnerable and weak.
Wow.
Yeah,
So there's shame about your shame.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. And see, that's the bad habit. So shame, right, is what is you actually expressed what I feel like is so bad, like detrimental about shame, or um it's not constructive for us, is that we have shame and then we feel shame about our shame, and then like we go in that cycle of hiding. Actually, like shame causes us to hide, and when you have to hide, it's always disempowering. um you can't feel powerful and hidden at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
It
Yeah.
does. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when we think about shame, a lot of times, so it's something that it seemed to be productive for children. We say, especially, so like I'm in Ghana, and so the family structure is very strong here, and it's like what you do is reflective of your family. So you can't, as a child, if you're out, and this is same in US and different places too, but if you're out and you're misbehaving as a child, it's now a reflection of your parents and your family. They didn't raise you properly.
Mhm.
They didn't teach you the right things, right? So
Yeah.
there's the pressure of the child, and it's actually it can be effective in having the child behave properly because they see how important it is. But then we also take that on as adults, and we say, oh, and it goes back to that failure, right? If I fail, it means this, it means that, like, and now the failure means, oh, we're reflecting, we're an embarrassment to our family, like all of that is still attached to just failure. And so a lot of us tend to be perfectionists and things like that, and we look good in public because we're overachievers and we get a lot done
Yeah.
and we do it well, and maybe we even like think we overthink things, and so we're the detail oriented people. You can rely on us, but internally everything is just done with such high stakes, and that's stressful.
Oh, it's high stakes. Wow. I mean, really unreasonably high, that,
Yeah.
no one could ever achieve stakes, you know.
And
Yeah.
I mean, really, you think you're like operating on someone who's about to lose their life the way, we pay attention to certain things. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay. But that's really, to me, that's what shame is. It's like we attach unreasonable meaning onto certain outcomes. Like
Mm.
you with your grade meant what? Did it mean that, did you maybe feel not smart enough, or it meant more than just, it was a bad grade that day? There was something you missed, you know?
Well, I mean, became a bigger thing that, well, maybe I didn't study enough, maybe I didn't study either the right stuff, and maybe I let the stress of taking the test, which means, get to me, which means that I'm kind of weak, that I haven't worked through that. I mean, there was a whole bunch of things attached to, the outcome of a test, so.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of times where the shame kicks in, is when we attach an outcome to our actual character and who we are.
Mm.
What you've done something doesn't always make it who you are. Like, who are you? So that's where mindfulness kicks into play, right? Because does a bad grade mean I'm weak? Like, if you go through all the line of things that you're saying it could mean, and just cut to the chase of, I got a bad grade, I'm weak, right? Does that really mean you're weak?
Absolutely. I mean, when you say it like that, it's like, no, of course not. And if a friend was saying that about themselves, I would say that I would absolutely disagree with that, but somehow it just seemed like a natural progression, a line of reasoning, when I'm saying it to myself,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so with mindfulness, you cut through and you say, okay, let's just get in this moment. Does I had a bad grade? And what am I thinking about that? Right. So then we don't cut off the ideas that you were thinking.
Okay.
But what I do is, like we just did, I like to simplify it. Like, okay, I've gone all the way down this rabbit hole that I didn't study enough. I didn't do this. It may have been that, and then I'm weak. So then you ask yourself, does getting a bad grade mean I'm weak?
You know,
Right?
the answer is obvious when you put it that way. It's like,
When you put it that way. But
yeah.
when you get caught up in the, like, look, the rigmarole, I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
When you get caught up in that all of that mess and the details of these imaginary things that it means, it's easy to get caught up in that, and your mood changes, and you're now going throughout your day feeling a different way just because you weren't aware of how far you were going with it, just
Right.
because you were trying to hide versus just let it out and be like, oh, this is what's happening.
And as you were saying, once you start hiding stuff, somehow it just kind of grows too. You push it deeper, deeper down, you keep it more to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. You
And
start, like, yeah, pushing things down. And you think about it, it grows, but it grows in a very unhealthy way, right? Because
right.
again, these are your roots that you're pushing down. So if it never gets to leave the surface, how unhealthy is that for you to just be choking your roots down there?
Yeah. I mean, wow, yeah, that's very unhealthy. And yet somehow at the time that it's happening, it feels like this is what I need to do to survive. It feels like this is going to help me somehow, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to go with the analogy too, have you ever talked to people who that part of them seems like, you're like, you ever heard people say, oh, that person's dead inside? Have you
Yeah.
heard that?
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
And they seem so evil or mean or whatever. But a lot of times with people like that, you find that they push everything down. And if you think about it, when you're pushing down something and you have those roots, eventually you kill something off, don't you? If you
Oh,
never let it come through the surface, you kill something off, because it's
right.
never getting air, it's never getting sunlight.
The
And
duck.
so there is a part of them, there is a small death inside, because it's like, we're not going to touch that place. That place is not getting air. And we're literally just going to act like it doesn't work.
Wow. Wow. honestly.
right?
I have, yeah, seen people like that, and yeah. And it wasn't, to be like I didn't think they were evil. I just thought something's just not there. There's no
Yeah.
key or something. Yeah. So,
Yeah, but it's like, you learn to have more compassion for someone, because it's like,
yeah.
because also once that happened, it's like, how scary is it now to visit that place? It's just gotten
Ooh,
darker and darker, you
yeah.
know? So that's why it's hard for them to get out. Like a lot of, sometimes you may have that older relative that you're just like, I don't know, Aunt so and so, she just, or Uncle so and so, they
Mhm.
just don't get it. That I can never, and it's like, you know, let them be. They have hid some things, they have pushed them down, and it's dark in there, and they don't want to go in that dark room either, you
Yeah.
know. And
Well,
so
yeah, it can bring up feelings of empathy rather than, criticism of them, and
yeah, and not that you have to take and deal with any kind of abusive behavior or anything, but just being able to say, okay, that they also are a person too who have coped in their own way with things that they're going through.
yes.
Mhm.
And so I mean, you do practical exercises with your clients too to kind of get to some of their inner wisdom and all of that. And
Yeah.
do you have time to do something with me?
Yeah, we can, sure. Yeah, that would be great, because I can actually do a quick exercise, probably even like 5 minutes, that people can even try at home as well. Um, and so, one of the, I don't know, and I guess in many ways we kind of mentioned this, but what that mindfulness gets you in touch with your inner wisdom, that part of you that is still hopeful and compassionate and very aware of like what you want to do, or really what you really care about. So we're gonna do one now. So you
Okay.
want to go ahead and get comfortable,
All right.
and once you're comfortable, you know, relax your back and everything. And if you want, you can close your eyes as well. So we're gonna take 3 big deep breaths. And when you inhale, just inhale straight down to your stomach, and then let the air go through your mouth slowly. Okay, so breathe in, exhale slowly. Another deep breath in through the nose. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Last big deep breath in. Exhale slowly. And just allow the shoulders to relax and melt into your back. Release any tension that you may have between the eyebrows. Allow your jaw to relax. Let your arms and legs feel heavy. And then feel the support underneath you. So there's a chair, or maybe you feel your feet on the ground. And allow the breath to flow naturally in and out. And just notice the flow of your breath. This is the same breath that has sustained you all of this time. whether you were paying attention to it or not. It's been there. This breath is proof that you have purpose on this earth. It's proof that you have survived so much. It is proof of everything magical about you. Now imagine a light coming down from the sky, coming down from your source of energy, of strength. Maybe it's you view your source as God or whoever your higher being is. Imagine light coming down, straight down in through the top of your head and filling your body with light. Imagine that same light going down to the ground and connecting you to the rest of the earth. This light is your true essence. It's your connection to your source of energy and strength and wisdom. It's also the very essence of you, of who you are, your authentic self, when no one is looking, without expectations. Allow this light to expand as far out as you can see. And as it connects you to the rest of the earth, you have a connection to all of the resources that are available to you here. And now in this space, you're going to ask yourself a question. Maybe something that you need help with, something that you want to be better at, but you want to ask a question that is empowering. So, if you want to be better at exercising more, instead of saying, why don't I exercise more? You would say to yourself, how can I exercise more? So think of a question and you say to yourself, how can I? And fill in the blank. How can I show more love? How can I show more empathy? Think of a question that you specifically want to answer and allow the answers to come to you without judging them or without trying to shut them down. No matter how weird they may be, just notice what comes up when you ask yourself the question, how can I? If you've received some answers already, maybe you want to ask, is there anything else I should know? Is there anything else I should know? And this is regards to your question. And just ask that to your inner wisdom. Again, this is that part of you that is connected to your source and also has the resources of the earth at your fingertips. What else do I need to know? whenever you're ready, just take another deep breath. Start to feel your fingertips, your feet on the ground. Feel your body in the chair, how it feels in the room to you. Another deep breath if you like, and slowly open your eyes if you have them shut.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That was really that was interesting. I was thinking I'm not going to get an answer, but I did.
You had two questions. How can I? And I'm not going to answer.
Yeah, well, actually, you know what? I had to reframe the question because I was thinking, oh, why can't I set good boundaries? You know,
Mm,
that's what I
mm,
was, yeah.
mm.
And hmm, I don't know. Is it that I wouldn't have gotten an answer to that, or there's what's wrong with framing it in that way?
It's
The-
not an empowering question. It may take you down the lane of all the reasons why you can't achieve what you want, right? So, if you think of your brain like a file cabinet, and you think of you go, why can't I set good boundaries? And your brain will go, just a moment. Well, you have issues with people pleasing and X, Y, and Z. The little person in your brain will hear all the reasons why. And you're like, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Wow, see that I didn't see that one coming. I have to admit. Okay.
So
Yeah, so I
the
don't
brain
ask
is,
that question. Yeah.
yeah, the brain is very indifferent. It's like, again, it'll make you efficient at anything, even if it's a bad habit. So if you say that, that little person will get to work and they'll like, I'll pull them up for you. Here you go.
Here we go. We go. So I did change it then to how can I set better boundaries? Yeah, I don't know
Mm.
if better is still good, but it was how can I set better boundaries?
How
And
did that
um actually that went really well. And I was kind of resistant, I think, to the answer. And until you said, don't judge whatever comes, just, observe it. And it was about it was to trust myself. And
go?
yeah, and I thought, no, that can't be it. Shouldn't. And wait a second. I think that is, yeah, I can trust myself more. I don't know, but to trust myself more would, I think, be very helpful in that way. So,
Wow, that's
yeah.
cool. And one of the things that's great about your example, and thanks for sharing how it went for you and your question, because I know sometimes it can be personal, the answer that you get to. But what's interesting about what you're saying, and what I find often, is that a lot of times our inner wisdom is very clear and concise. It's not, all like we think that we're so complicated, this code that we have to break. And a lot of times we get caught up in the mind trying to solve the math problem. When in reality, we have this inner wisdom in the heart that's like, oh, this is all it is. It's very clear.
Wow. And I mean, is the resistance is that common too? Because it's like, no, there must be a more complicated answer, or no, I don't want to hear
Yes,
that answer. It's
yes. It's very common because the other thing about it, because sometimes the resistance is that we don't have control necessarily. It may be that we feel like we're losing control in an area. Again, we're tapping into that heart, which is so um, fragile in some ways. The heart is both strong and fragile. It's very interesting.
Hmm.
And so we're tapping into this place where maybe we're holding all these emotions that we're not sure of because we've been ignoring, and so there's sometimes the fear of that, but then sometimes there's a resistance because we're like, it can't be that simple because now if it's that simple, then I actually have to change. And I don't like change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, your face gave it up. That resonates with you.
I think that one resonated. It's like, gosh, she's not right through me on that one. But yeah, but it did kind of feel like, well, trust myself. Well, that's I mean, that feels seems kind of simple, but it's also a really huge thing to do.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
hmm,
And then you have to do it and change. And really, our fear is of what happens if we change. It's not that we don't know how to do it. It's like, but what happens if I do?
oh,
Yeah.
well, I didn't, by the way, I didn't get an answer to the second question about is there anything else I need to know? Because I think
Okay.
I was really looking at the trust myself thing. Wow, yeah, wow. So no, but this was a oh this yeah, this felt it felt a little scary at first, and but then it also felt I don't know about empowering. I felt lighter. I feel lighter afterwards.
Ah, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
that there is
Yeah, that's
enough that I can
feeling.
actually do this, set boundaries, and and maybe this is why I haven't, because there's an essential thing that I need to address.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the thing that I like to do, so after I get a revelation like that, then
Mhm.
I like to lean into that revelation so that it's now something that is a part of my program. So, because it was because it's a very clear answer for you of like trusting yourself. So now I would dive into like maybe in the morning, right? If you have a period where you either meditate or just talk to yourself, and we all talk to ourselves anyway, but
Yeah.
somehow incorporating trusting yourself, just saying, okay, trust yourself, trust yourself, because we have a lot of our thoughts are repetitive anyway. In some crazy amount, like people were saying, like over 80% or something like that. So we are just repetitive thoughts every day. So because of that, you want to keep programming what you want to think about. That's
Okay.
what goes back to that difference between being realistic and pessimistic,
Mhm.
right? You can be realistic about the outcomes and what may happen, but pessimism is now rehearsing the bad outcome over and over,
Oh, okay. Okay.
right? So for me, I like to rehearse my revelations. If I have like some breaking, it doesn't have to be groundbreaking, but if I have some discovery about myself, now I'm going to rehearse that revelation every single day until I get a new one, because that's what's going to change me.
So are you saying like using affirmations or journaling or just keep saying it to myself or what, or acting as
Yeah,
if or what? Yeah.
all of the above. So if you have an affirmation that you can use for yourself. So one of the things I like to do is if I have some unhealthy thought pattern for myself, like if let's say around boundaries, if you were judging yourself, like, God, I should have set, you should have set a boundary for that person or whatever. So because I know I always have that unhealthy thought pattern, I'm going to take my affirmation of trust yourself and put it and pair it with the unhealthy thought pattern, because it's very difficult to just say I'm going to stop thinking that way. It's very difficult, but if you pair it, eventually you can take over that thought with the new one. So you'd say, oh, like you say, oh, I should have set a boundary around, gosh, if I say, um I'm so like, why didn't I set that boundary, very judgy towards myself,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
then I would immediately after I would go, I'm gonna trust yourself. Just land on that. Even whether it makes sense or not, just land on it. Next time, you may not say, why didn't I? Next time, you may just go, trust yourself, right? Because
Oh,
again, you're going to get efficient at whatever you want to set your mind to. It'll be more efficient at that. So just trust yourself. And then for me, I also like to have supporting. So I like to learn. So I'm going to watch videos on trust yourself. I'm going to read about trusting yourself.
oh,
I'm going to I'm going to get all kind of supporting evidence that says why trusting yourself is good. Just so my mind becomes bombarded with that and it becomes just a part of my belief system.
okay. Yeah, I love the learning stuff too. So yeah, so maybe I'll get a book and all this stuff too. And yeah. All right. Oh, I love that actually. And
Yeah. because
Yeah.
you're programming. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, 'cause I don't just want to hear that and then forget about it. I want to reinforce that, and
Mm.
to build it up. And is journaling is that good, or is that just dissecting it too much, or what? What?
I think journaling is great. I think journaling is a great time capsule as well, just to see what you were thinking over time.
Okay.
Because like I think we are like I think we're the most interesting things to study. And so I, I think journaling is a good way to get out things that maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing with another person, verbally, right? So you have to get it out some way. Also, I think journaling is good just for seeing your thoughts
Yeah.
back, kind of reading them back to yourself as well, like reflecting. Because sometimes when we are letting things kind of go around in circles in our head, they can either one seem bigger than they really are because again we repeat. It's like if you keep seeing the same story on social media everywhere, it feels like, oh, it's just destruction everywhere, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the same video. I just keep seeing it. It's like that in our minds, and sometimes I've learned that if you write it down, it's not as big as we make it. And then sometimes when we write, sometimes that flow between our thought and our hands, like it allows us to go along a process that we may not go through if we're keeping it in our head. And then later I like to read, what are some old things I was thinking, and give myself credit for progress, and give myself credit for, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was thinking about doing that in 2010 and now I'm doing it, like, achieving some goals that
Mm-hmm.
just seemed like dreams back then. Like one of the things I laugh at myself at is that there was a point where I was like, oh, I wish I could just quit my job and go sing in a lounge somewhere in another country. And ironically, I'm in Ghana singing in a lounge. I quit my day job, and it's hilarious to me. And so it makes you realize too, like how much things we're actually manifesting, good or bad,
Yeah. Oh,
right? So
right.
I
Yeah.
love for all those reasons. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay. Gosh, because I really love journaling too. And but I was thinking, well, does that mean am I examining this, the message, or, questioning the message, or I don't know. But anyway, I'm a journaler too, and I love going back and looking to see.
Yeah.
And
But I think, and I don't feel like you have to feel like constrained with the message. When I say not judging it, sometimes we go, oh no, that can't be it. So we don't look at it at all. So that's why I say don't judge it when it comes up,
Mhm.
just so that you have a chance to. But I think examining is perfectly healthy and going, oh, like, well, how could I trust myself more? How could I, like
Oh,
really diving into that. But sometimes when I say don't judge, sometimes people go, oh, that can't be it. Let me push that aside. And so they ignore things that are coming up. And I'm like, if something is coming up for you, you definitely should look at it.
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's what I was immediately doing, was to say, no, 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 that can't be it, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
well, I am actually very curious about, examining this message too. And so, this was
yeah.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of scary, but fun.
Do you think do you think you would do it at like by yourself later? Like is it something you think you could do?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, I
Oh,
do.
okay.
Um,
Cool.
and yeah, certainly, I think I could. But I think I'd have to really be in the right mindset to,
Mhm.
not after like a long day and a bad day at work or something like that. I think I'd have to be kind of in a calm, contemplative state, kind of already, you know.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and not at night, because I often feel very vulnerable at night. I don't know why. I feel more sensitive at night. Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
something I've just observed in myself. So yeah, but well, Roxanne, uh, this has been so, I mean, just incredibly helpful. And yeah, I learned every time I talk to you, I just learned so much. Like I said, I hate to always be scribbling when when I'm with you, but it's just, such, such great wisdom. And, no, and I really appreciate that you're sharing that too. and your
Oh,
expertise.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for the platform to share. This is stuff that I'm super passionate about. So I'm really appreciative of anyone that lets me like ramble on about this stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So I have to ask, so do you, what's the name of your business? I remember it was a really fun, really nice name. It was a happy name, but I go, what is the name of your business? And so
Oh,
people
sure.
can.
It's Cloud Walk Coaching.
Oh,
Yeah, so you can find me at cloudwalkcoaching.com.
okay. Hi, Cloud.
Yeah, yeah. My slogan is "Let's take a walk on the clouds," and it came from when I was a teenager, and I felt like I'm depressed. I'm going through like aging, like just the teenage awkwardness, right?
Mhm.
And it was so funny because I would always be in such a mood, and my mom would always say, "Oh, look at that cloud! Doesn't it look like a cat?" Like, and I'm like, like as an angry teenager, I'm like, "What do you mean, mom? What do you what? Like, I'm talking about clouds. Like, I'm angry." And for some reason, I couldn't help but look up and look at the cloud and go, "Okay, well, it does kind of look like a cat. All right." And it was funny. It always got my mind off of whatever I was thinking because it made me look at the world and look like how big things are and everything that
Mhm.
is really available to us and get outside of my mind,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
so I'm always just like, you know what, let's do cloud walk coaching because we're gonna walk on the clouds. We're just gonna pretend we can see how big the world is, how much room we have to stretch out, and then we won't be so focused on our problems. So,
So it
yeah.
really is a happy name. Yeah. It has
It's
a.
super happy. It's super happy.
So, yeah. And so Cloud Walk coaching. And yeah, do you do coaching online or are you really more in person or yeah, how do you
Yes,
do?
both in person and online. So mostly I've been doing online because my clients have been all over the place. And I still have a lot of clients in the US, even though I'm in Ghana. And also I do workshops, things like that as well. And so I've actually started doing workshops online too. I just did the US government, the National Institutes of Health last week. And so, yeah, I've been doing a workshop called Choose Your Stress Wisely. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So that's been fun. But yeah, I just do things around mindset, stress management, and communication as well.
And communication. Hmm.
Mm.
And what kind of people do you work with everybody, or do you really focus on women or children, or
I
what?
do work with everybody. Yeah, I do not work with children. Sorry. I work with all adults. I don't do work with children. That's just not my specialty. My passion has been, it's funny, my passion was Black Americans actually when I started,
Okay.
because of course that was my circle. And that's, I felt bad, like the level of stress that people were facing, and having to tell Black women like it's okay to take a nap on a Sunday, like things like that really got to me. And I'm like, no, we need to know that we're okay. So, so yeah, I see all adults. My clientele is very diverse, but I do have a passion for Black people.
Okay. All right. And yeah, so thank you really again. And I'm gonna put all this up on my website about your website too. And of course, this will be on the Instagram page and yours too, I assume. And yeah,
Sure.
so I mean, I really appreciate the work that you're doing and that, I mean, even as a friend, you listened to me, gonna go on about certain things and and offer really great suggestions. And I'm not going to say, that you gave me all this advice, do this, do this, do this. You said, well, man, maybe you want to try some things. And those have really been helpful to me. And I really do appreciate that. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been great.
so I will not keep you any longer. And yeah, then I will see you again. And anyway, you're a friend. I'm going to see you anyway. So thank you again, Roxanne. Yes. And I'm going to sign off now then too, and and release you to the rest of your beautiful day I can see in the background. So, okay. Thanks, Roxanne.
Bye.
Bye for now. Hujambo, y'all. It's Amma Robin here. I'm back. I've been here through the whole show and I have absolutely loved it. This is the end of part 2 with Roxanne Warden, and it ends our entire uncommon conversation with her. Asante Sana to mindfulness and life coach Roxanne Warden for sharing her expertise and insights with us today. Asante Sana to you for being a part of the Espresso Talk Today community and being in the building for these important conversations. You know, as we envision Black empowerment and Black liberation for all people, not just for some, but for all, we grow together. We experience joy. We experience good health. We feel the love. And we are so empowered. And remember, there is no Black empowerment without Black health. Mental health, emotional health, physical health, spiritual health. And I'm going to throw in community health and financial health too. We also talk about those issues on this show as we calm, contain, and control the chaos of living Black in white spaces. If you want to keep discussing these concepts or reading about them, about the concept of living Black in white spaces, and discussing how to calm, control, and contain that chaos, you should definitely subscribe to my weekly Black empowerment newsletter, The Nomo Beat. We discuss lots of different issues there, so you can get your dose of Black empowerment and liberation every single week. Never a dull moment, lots of powerful, uplifting, and liberating moments though. You can subscribe at the Espresso Talk Today website at espressotalktoday.com or on Instagram at Amma Robin L. That's Amma, A-M-A, _ Robin, ROBIN, _ the letter L. And you can also find us on Facebook at our newly opened Espresso Talk Today Black Liberation Lounge. This group is a safe space for us to hold discussions, share thoughts and ideas, feel joy, express sadness, or just breathe. Everyone needs a place to breathe. You can also join us on Instagram, where I hold a live discussion every week, usually on Wednesdays. But DM me to get notified when I'm going live so that you can be the first in the room. Join me again on Instagram at Amma Robin L. I'm Amma Robin for Espresso Talk Today. And remember, now more than ever, strength, soul, and reparations. Ashe, fam.